Podcast New York.
What's up, Dueling Decades? This is Wax. Peace to all you guys, and thanks for having me on the show. Will it be the 90s or the 80s? Beanie Babies or Crack Babies? Will it be Nirvana or Madonna? Maybe Britney, maybe Whitney. Do you like new metal or new wave? Dave Grohl or Super Dave? I don't know. But now the battle begins. Dueling Decades. Let's see who wins.
Dueling Decades.
Broadcasting from the Podcast New York studios, it's the adult-only retro game show where the decades battle for supremacy. Because it's your history, we just fight for it. Welcome back to Dueling Decades. I am Marc James, and this week we once again bring you a bodacious birthday battle, as I will be bringing the best of my 8th birthday, February 5th, 1986, alongside the other duelers and the decades they will be fighting for. First off, showering us with the gifts from the 1970s. Say hello to Mancrush.
Yes, it was my birthday this week. That's why we get to do another birthday duel. I turned 43, but on this episode, I get my first birthday, April 13th, 1979. And it was a great day, sort of.
Also joining us on the panel and blowing out the candles for the 90s, it's the professor, Drew Zakmin.
What's up, guys? Happy to be back. I have my 18th birthday, which was April 29th, 1998.
And as always here on the show, we need somebody to adjudicate all of this awesomeness. So this week's guest judge is the multi-talented movie aficionado and host of the Movie Dumpster Podcast. All rise for Judge Joe La Scola.
Woo. Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for having me.
Ladies and gentlemen, the following contest will be held under Dueling Decades rules. The judges' coin flip shall decide who picks first out of the 5 Dueling Decades categories: movies, television, music, news, and hot products. A judge's ruling will determine who wins each round, allowing the victor to choose the next available category. The first 3 rounds are worth 1 point each, with rounds 4 and 5 worth 2 points apiece. And in the event of a tie, after all 5 rounds, we will go to a final wild card round. Remember, duelers, to review the show, listen, subscribe, and play along at home. It's time for more Dueling Decades. All right, let's go right down to Joe La Scola, our judge for this evening, for the coin toss.
Here we go. We got it right here.
All right, Drew Zakmin, the coin toss this week will be between you and I. Why don't you call it?
You know what? I'm going to go tails here, Joe. Give it to me. Give it to me straight, buddy.
All right, here we go, man. Tails.
All right.
There you go.
I won the
All right,
coin
Drew
toss.
Zakmin, you win the coin toss, and you get to select our first category.
Yeah, so I am going to go with, you know what? I'm going to go with TV, because I'm pretty sure I knew exactly what I was doing on this particular day. So on this birthday of mine, I got something right on April 29th, 1998. I'm pretty sure I watched this game because I watched a lot of them. But it was on WPIX 11, Yankees versus the Seattle Mariners. And I'm a big Yankees fan, and this was a fun game to watch, as both of these teams back in 98 were absolutely stacked. The Mariners had Alex Rodriguez, who was actually a giant piece of shit. They had Edgar Martinez, Ken Griffey Jr., and Heathcliff Slocum, who really wasn't that good. He was like an average pitcher. I honestly just wanted to say Heathcliff. Now the Bronx Bombers had Derek Jeter, Bernie Williams, Tino Martinez, who actually came over to New York from the Mariners a couple years earlier, replacing the legendary Donald Arthur Mattingly. I'm going middle name here, guys, who just celebrated his 60th birthday, by the way. So happy birthday, Donnie Baseball. Joe Girardi was behind the plate for New York, and David Cone was on the mound. And we wound up getting a lot of offense. We had home runs from Griffey and Jeter. Jorge Posada also went yard. David Cone pitched a hell of a game, striking out 11 in 6 innings. And we got to see the Sandman himself, Mariano Rivera, come in the 9th inning to lock things down for the save as the Yankees won 8-5. So April 29th, little Drew sitting home. Well, not little. I guess I was 18 back then. Teenage Drew, who is probably a giant asshole, sitting home watching the Yankees play the Mariners.
All right, Mancrush, what did you bring for the television round?
All right, so let's go to April 13th, 1979. For this selection, I was going to go with something that started or ended like we normally do. But for one, I didn't have that option. And but more importantly, I was more interested in seeing what was on TV that evening and think about the possibility of my parents plopping 1-year-old Mancrush in front of the boob tube for my birthday. And honestly, I've never been that into cartoons. And honestly, if you're in the same boat as me, please let me know, because I feel like I am the only one, because everyone seems to have their cartoon phase, and I just didn't have that. Maybe a year or two with He-Man and G.I. Joe, but other than that, I just didn't like cartoons. So it got me thinking, like, what the hell was I watching in lieu of cartoons to make me not enjoy them? I do have vague memories of living in our house in the Bronx and watching The Incredible Hulk. I don't know how young I was, but I do have those memories. So I know for a fact I was plopped in front of the television and I was probably watching this show that night. It wasn't The Incredible Hulk, but this is close. It's season 1, episode 10, Dukes of Hazzard. And shockingly, this episode, it's where Roscoe deputizes Bo and Luke Duke. The same guy that's on their ass for all 147 episodes. He makes them fucking cops, all because he's inept and he's such a pussy that he won't go and pick up Rocky Marlowe, who is apparently public enemy number 1 through 10. And that's according to Roscoe, of course. I had to go and rent this one for $1.99 last night on Amazon because I don't own it. My backup pick, I couldn't even rent because it's not even available on streaming. And this is why I own thousands of DVDs. Honestly, go and get yourself some physical media because of this. But anyways, if you're in the mood for skinny dipping double crosses, the Dukes with badges, a chick that mugs a cop, steals her identity without getting in trouble, sweaty boss hog, Bo Duke firing exploding arrows. I mean, what 1-year-old doesn't want that? Enos being a moron, Roscoe being a pussy, Cooter having the best name humanly possible. Then go and check out Deputy Dukes. It's season 1, episode 10 of Dukes of Hazzard. Mike Ranger said this was the one to pick too. I had to ask him.
I was gonna say, you had me at skinny dipping double cross. That sounds awesome.
Well, this is what happens. So the episode kicks off, and the Dukes are like making out with these chicks in cars, and they just won some contest for $100. I didn't even hear what the contest was, and I didn't want to rewind it, so I don't even know what it was. But they won this $100, and the girls are like, "Oh, we should go into the lake. We should go skinny dipping." So the two of them, Bo and Luke Duke, get completely nude. And the girls pull shotguns on them and steal their $100, and which leads them to get arrested. And I don't know. I guess they were already on probation. I didn't watch episode 1 through 9, but I'm sure they're always on probation with Roscoe. And yeah, so it was the dudes nude. The chicks didn't get it, but they got theirs in the end. I'll tell you that. Spoiler.
Wow,
it's a good one.
All right, gentlemen. So for my television pick, we're gonna tune into an episode of Macgyver from its very first season, originally aired February 5th, 1986. Now, this was episode 14, entitled Countdown. A cruise ship is the target of a terrorist attack, and it has 3 bombs hidden aboard. Macgyver and a friend from the agency are asked to dismantle the bombs before it is too late for the crew and the passengers. This episode is actually one of the best and highest rated of the entire first season of Macgyver. It's tied at 8.2 on IMDb with the season finale of season number 1. Now, the episode's plot is very similar to the 1974 film Juggernaut, which itself is based on a real-life incident, but that one was involving the Queen Elizabeth II. Now, in this episode, we learn a few interesting things about Macgyver. 1, Macgyver has never played golf. And 2, according to Pete, Macgyver was in Vietnam in a bomb disposal unit. Now, think about this, guys. Although he probably wouldn't have even been there for long, America was out of Vietnam by 1973, and that's when MacGyver was a senior in college, according to other episodes. So if you do the math, I mean, MacGyver was born, it says, in 1951. 1969, he would have been 18. He has a double degree. So, yeah, it just doesn't add up for MacGyver here. So by the time he would have gone through basic training and shipped out, we were out of there. So Richard Dean Anderson would go on to do 139 episodes of MacGyver over its 7-year run. And believe it or not, the show has won 4 primetime Emmys. Cool side note, when MacGyver disarms the bomb in this episode, the timer stops at 007. Kind of a nice little nod to Agent 007, Mr. James Bond, because we all know MacGyver is just the redneck James Bond.
With paper clips.
So that's my pick for the television round. Let's throw it down to Judge Joe La Scola for the ruling.
Oh, boy. Well, you know what? I'm not a sports guy, so guess what I'm not watching? That fucking
Had Derek Jeter.
my mother was a huge Jeter fan, man, but I man, no thank you.
Heathcliff
I was upstairs
Slocum.
watching like bad movies or something.
The guy's name was Heathcliff.
I'd rather watch the cartoon with the cat.
I don't know.
That was one I can get behind for some odd reason. I used to like
That was the one cartoon, yeah. And then as far, so it's MacGyver and it's them Duke boys. Let's see. I didn't watch a ton of MacGyver, and to be fair, I haven't watched a ton of the Dukes of Hazzard. But if I had to pick one of those, especially those 2 episodes, I'm probably going for the Dukes. Only because, like, what do we got? The exploding arrows and skinny dipping, holding people at gunpoint naked for $100. And you know, the good old fashioned car chases, man. I don't know, dude. Yeah, sign me up for them Duke boys, definitely.
All right, Mancrush, you pick up a point here in the first round, but more importantly, you take control of the board and get to select our next category.
All right, I'm gonna go with news, but I will say there was a dope ass car chase in that. Of course, it wasn't even in their ride. What is that? A Challenger. It was actually here's the spoiler. They stole those chicks from the beginning. They find them, they steal their car, and he fires an arrow into it. But they do in a police car. They jump. I don't even know how it got in the air. It's kind of like, you know, when you pull a wheelie, you just go, you know, you pull your body up. Yeah. I feel like those guys just did that in the front seat, and any car just jumped because that's what happened. Because the guys that were chasing them, they didn't even attempt it because there was nothing to jump. I was like, how the fuck did that just happen? I was puzzled, but
had those
season
Snoop
1
Dogg hydraulics.
Yeah. All right, so let's go to the news. Let's go April 13th, 1979. I came across this article. It's in the Daily News. And I always find these types of articles interesting. It's hard to picture a time before the internet where we got news and we just trusted that it was correct, because it wasn't like you were going to get an update on the news story 45 minutes later or even sooner like we do nowadays. You can go on Twitter and you're like, no, that's wrong. Well, here it is. It's such a simpler time. I miss it. But it's fun to play the what if game with news stories like this one. So let's dive headfirst into some 70s jiggle TV. All right. So we got this article. It's titled Barbara Bach in Wings for Angels. So let me just preface this and give you guys a little backstory. So at this point in 1979, Charlie's Angels, they were finishing up their 3rd season on ABC. And this show was a ratings juggernaut since its inception in 1976. Season 1, it was 5th in the ratings. Season 2 was 4th in the ratings. People were loving their jiggle TV, which is, to me, it's actually pretty funny because the ABC executives, they initially told Aaron Spelling that this was one of the worst ideas that they ever heard when he pitched it to them. But anyhow, so season 3 happens. Ratings start to slide. The show finishes at 12th. And Kate Jackson apparently was tired of all the shitty scripts and the long hours. And at the same time, allegedly, Aaron Spelling wanted to get rid of her because her acting sucked. And the only reason she was on the show to begin with was because they needed her like star power for the pilot, because at the time, Farrah Fawcett and Jackie Smith, they were unknowns. And then Spelling wanted to get rid of Kate Jackson at the end of the first season, but Farrah Fawcett like blew up in popularity and she ends up leaving the show. So once again, Kate Jackson, she had to stick around for that name power. And then Cheryl Ladd came on to replace Farrah Fawcett. So her jiggle was worthy. Spelling, like, he tried to oust Jackson again at the end of season 2. ABC said no. So now comes season 3. Ratings are starting to slip. ABC's on board to get rid of Jackson, and boom, fired. She's gone. So now Spelling has to come up with another like amazing replacement, just like he did with Cheryl Ladd. So this article right here, it claims that Barbara Bach is the next big star to join the cast of Charlie's Angels to replace Kate Jackson. And I quote this from the article. It says, if she does become the third angel, she'll actually be the fifth, which makes sense because the other two have left or been fired. And I'm saying she will. Barbara will become a household name overnight and pick up plenty of dough from endorsements. With this, I would say perhaps they should have gotten some confirmation from ABC or maybe like Bach's agent at ICM, because it never happened. The former Bomb Beauty, she would end up not being on the show. Instead, they gave that part to Shelley Hack. And on an episode of Carson that came out in May of 1979, Bach said that she lost the audition for Charlie's Angels because they felt that she was too sophisticated and that she was not American. All right. So just think about this. Like, had they had the internet in 1979, they would have known that she was born in fucking Queens. Like, what? Unfortunately, it spells the end to Jiggle TV. Sad for all of us. The show went from 12th to 20th to a measly 59th in the ratings before getting canceled in 1981. And even sadder than that, Barbara Bach basically flames out after she didn't get this role. Yeah. She went on to pose for Playboy in 1981, and then she stopped acting by 1986. So that's why I say it's fun to kind of play the what if game, because if you have Barbara Bach in this role, does this last longer? Like, does the show have more? We always like to say, does something has legs? The show would have had legs if they had Barbara
Jiggle.
Bach and Jiggle. I mean, it's a win-win. But yeah, that's a new story I got. It's Barbara Bach in the wings for the Angels.
I feel like we need a flow chart.
Yeah. Who do you
I could make a board back here now.
Now, who do you think had the best jiggle?
Cheryl Ladd is
trick question. It's Bosley.
You son of a bitch.
All right, Drew Zakmin, what did you bring for the news round?
All right, so I found something. It wasn't on April 29th. It was on April 30th. So I hope you guys are okay with that. But we would like to interrupt your after-school cartoon for this live suicide. Doesn't get any better, guys. So a man, Daniel V. Jones, who's from California, who was diagnosed as HIV positive, also had cancer after finding a growth on his neck, wound up basically committing suicide on national TV. Now, when you have someone who believes he's going to die, you kind of get this situation where Jones wanted to draw attention to his ordeal with health maintenance organizations, or HMOs. I guess he was also not happy with health insurance back then. Now, he said that, he was in pain because of mistreatment by the HMO in whose care he had been placed. He complained that it would take him a month to, schedule an appointment with a doctor and another month to get the results of a test. So it was just taking forever to kind of, get through all the bullshit that is health insurance pretty much. And he was beyond fed up. And Jones basically went to a freeway in Los Angeles, and he unfurled a large square banner with white hand lettering that read, HMOs are in it for the money. Live free, love safe, or die. So he made the banner specifically for the occasion and displayed it for the news helicopters to see, which they clearly did. Now, as authorities prepared to negotiate with him, Jones suddenly returned back to his truck and sat in the front seat. Now he's like in his car, like on this overpass basically of the freeway. And he wasn't going to hurt anybody else. He was just basically trying to draw attention to the fact that, he's been kind of, dealing with all this bullshit from his HMO. And so he goes, the authorities are trying to negotiate with him. He goes back to his car. And intending to take his own life, he ignites a Molotov cocktail inside his truck. And the vehicle suddenly burst into flames and was set ablaze. And Jones got out of the vehicle, however, ran across the freeway as he was engulfed in flames and smoke with his hair, pants, and everything was on fire, basically. He tried to put out the flames, managed to peel off his pants, and then continued to wander about. He was like dazed and confused at this point. And it looked like he was about to jump off the freeway. However, he changed his mind, went back to the truck, and wound up using the shotgun and shot himself under the chin. Now,
Jesus.
Wait a second. The whole time he was on fucking fire? He's like, wait a second. I'm not going to do. Okay, let me go get.
He's like, basically, I don't want to burn to death.
Yeah.
Let me shoot myself.
That's
Yeah.
not
Stop,
the time
drop.
to
He
be
had a
doing
lot.
this.
He had a lot of stuff in his truck, basically Molotov cocktails, shotguns. So he puts the shotgun under his chin, pulls the trigger, falls to the ground. Cameras are still rolling and playing the event live to viewers watching at home. And it was a Thursday afternoon and witnessed by many children whose after-school cartoons had been interrupted to broadcast the incident, which kind of reminded me of what was that guy's name from Pennsylvania? The Filter song was after him. R. Bud Dwyer, Hey Man, Nice Shot. Like that was also right after school, basically, and that was also aired locally on TV in Harrisburg. So yeah, so that's what we have. I have a suicide.
So not only did you not go with your birth date, but then you brought the sadness too.
It was a day after. I couldn't find any news that was really worthy. This was you know what? I want to talk about this because health insurance is kind of shitty. So I felt like let's draw some attention to it. That's what Jones wanted.
Man. All right.
All right. Well, this is going to be a rough segue. All right. Well, I think I'm going to try to uplift the show a little bit and talk about some fond memories. Because, I found my news pick in the Daily News out of New York, February 5th, 1986. Now it's an article looking at what's hot and what's not in the toy world. So what's remarkable about this article, it has one of the worst headlines I have ever seen in the history of this show. And it reads, "A look at the toy fair. The playing is the thing." Oh, wait, I strike that. "A look at toy fair. The playing's the thing." The playing's the thing.
The playings or planes?
The playing, the thing. The playing's the thing.
Is that like some kind of weird, shitty take on plaything?
I have no
for a
clue.
toy? Fire that person.
Yeah.
Well, the article gets better from there. It goes on and says, boulders that become robots, a Rambo action figure, a doll that makes sucking sounds when bottle fed, adult VCR games. These are among the playthings that analysts say will make 1986 an especially exciting year for the toy industry. A feline version of the hugely successful Pound Puppies, as well as Cabbage Patch Astronauts, should generate a lot of interest, said analysts. The winners will be electronic toys and plush stuffed pets. Here's what analysts said about specific toys. Tonka's Rock Lords. They're boulders that transform into robots. They are highly regarded. And Hasbro's, get this, Transformers. Capital T, capital F. Hasbro's Transformers, robots that can be changed into cars, planes, and other vehicles, are expected to continue to sell well. Rambo and accessories made by Coleco Industries seem headed for stardom. Now, Hasbro's My Buddy, the doll for boys, is going to see another good year, while Kid Sister, a new tomboyish companion for girls, is predicted to ring up sales. Now, what about the flops? The big question mark is Teddy Ruxpin. There is a major return problem with Teddy Ruxpin. They don't work. The analyst interview did not hold out much hope for a female fashion doll called Gem by Hasbro. He said, "I don't think America's ready for a doll with dark purple hair." So that's what I got for the news round. It's a look at the toy futures from 1986.
So not only did they get English wrong with the title, but they got basically the ones that they said were going to suck were good.
Correct. They got everything wrong.
Nailed it.
Including their English and grammar.
No, nailed it.
Real quick, I got a question. Adult VCR games like Nightmare and stuff like that, or like Clue,
Yeah.
the VCR game, shit like that.
Yeah.
Okay, and then when you
think
first
they're-
said that, I'm like, what, erotic VCR games?
They had that right
The
next
fuck
to
is
the
that
Teddy
doing?
Ruxpin booth.
Well, it did come right after the doll that makes sucking sounds.
It sure did.
So,
Yeah.
It was curious placement.
Wait,
in the
what was the
article.
name of the doll that made sucking sounds? And why would you want a doll that made sucking sounds?
Baby Suckle Up, man. You never had that as a kid?
I kind of wish I did at this point. Oh, no, I don't want to say that. Strike that from the record.
All right,
Oh,
let's go
geez.
right down to Joe La Scola from the Movie Dumpster podcast for the ruling on the news round.
Oh, geez. I'm sorry, man, but that while it's a fucking wild story, and the idea of somebody being on fire and still having wits about themselves to be like, oh, shit, am I gonna fucking jump? No, I'm not gonna jump. I gotta take my pants off. No, wait a second. I'm gonna go back to the fucking car and shoot myself in the head just to stop this madness. No way. Oh, that's such a bummer, dude. You're interrupting my fucking real Ghostbusters.
That's true. Yeah.
So let's see. I didn't watch like any Charlie's Angels, but Jiggle TV sounds wonderful.
This was in an article from 1979. Like, that's how they put it. I never even heard of Jiggle TV before.
You know, a Baywatch immediately jumped to my mind.
True,
and I'm
true.
like, is that? I guess that's Jiggle TV.
That's like 90s Jiggle TV. They brought it
yeah,
back.
like super soft core.
Slow-mo running from the beach.
Yeah, slow-mo boobies bouncing up and down. Oh, whatever. Yeah, as appealing as that sounds, and that her I forgot her name already, but
Barbara Bach.
Barbara Bach, she got the shit end of the stick, man. Unfortunately, I hope she's doing okay now, if she's still with us.
She is. She's still alive. She's like 76 or something.
Yeah, that's a bummer to hear about that. So that's 2 bummers in a row. However, that Toy Fair assessment is pretty fantastic. I love how they were like, oh yeah, Tonka's making boulders that transform into robots, even though we've fucking had Transformers for what, 5 years at that point? When did they come out?
Transformers.
The capital F.
Gotcha, yeah. Yeah, man, and I had Teddy Ruxpin as a kid, and I also had the Coleco Alf, which is like sitting right next to me over here, that talked to you with the tapes. So I, that's a big part of my childhood, and yeah, got to give it to you, man. The Toy Fair news wins.
How is it possible that they said that Teddy Ruxpin didn't work? I've seen Teddy Ruxpin play with like heavy metal inside of him,
Yeah.
and he would still open his mouth. Like, when did it not work?
Apparently in 1986.
Maybe it was
One
just the
time.
one they had at the booth didn't work.
Yeah, I don't know.
They were still working the bugs out, right? I mean, I guess.
I'm Teddy Ruxpin. Take me home with you. I'll kill you.
Oh, and that My Buddy doll, man,
Oh,
terrifying.
That is
Yeah, it was.
terrifying.
Child's Play comes out this a year later.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's probably why. Why?
Yeah, man. Oh yeah,
It's because of that article, the playing time.
things sometimes.
Words.
All right, guys. Well, I pick up a point in that round, and I get to select our next category for our final 1-point round. Let's go over to the music round. For my music selection, we're heading back to Paisley Park for the release of a song that started out originally as just an acoustic demo, originally intended for the band Maserati, which was formed by Prince bass player Brown Mark. And, they're actually signed to Prince's Paisley Park label. So they went to Prince. They wanted a song for their new album. And they gave him. So Prince wrote this song up just as a quick acoustic demo for him. Nothing major. Maserati got a hold of it along with producer David Z. They reworked the song, gave it an irresistible funk groove. Prince heard it and said, yep, nope, taking this back for myself. And on February 5th, 1986, my 8th birthday, Prince dropped the mega hit, Kiss. Warner Brothers did not want to release the song as a single, but Prince would prove them all wrong, as Kiss would go on to be the third #1 single following When Doves Cry and Let's Go Crazy. Now, interestingly enough, on the week that Kiss hit #1 on the Billboard 100 chart, the #2 song was also a song written by Prince. That was the Bangles' Manic Monday. Kiss also helped give the Purple One some gold. He won an award for Best R&B Vocal Performance by a Duo or Group and was nominated for Best R&B Song at the 29th Annual Grammy Awards. But not everybody liked this song, so let's head over to our good friends at newspapers.com for a write-up on the On the Record section by writer Bill Novak from the Sheboygan Press. Prince sounds like a eunuch. Prince sounds more like a eunuch than a pop idol on this 12-inch signal. His falsetto is grating to the ear, but since this is Prince, look for good sales and airplay. So that's Kiss by Prince, February 5th, 1986. Just a huge hit for the Purple One, man. All right, let's toss it over to Mancrush. What did you bring for the music round?
All right. So again, April 13th, 1979. And would you look at that? Just like Mark, I have a single that was released on my first birthday. And obviously I know of this song. I've heard this song. I knew it was big, but I never actually thought much about it until I started diving into this one. And let me tell you, I have some questions about this content. It's pretty racy. There's some pretty racy stuff here. First, let's get into some figures on this one. The song came out. It was the artist's 7th studio album that this single came off of. And for the most part, those were basically all disco albums until she released this Bad Girls album, which was infused with rock. The album itself was massive. It went #1 on the Billboard 200. It became 2 times platinum. And I mentioned that because this song alone was certified 2 times platinum. I guess everybody obviously had this on 45. For 3 weeks, this track hit #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 and basically every chart that meant anything in 1979. And that track, it won the very first Grammy Award for Best Female Rock Performance, which is kind of weird because I just described to you that it was a disco, like all of our other albums were disco. But we've seen that before with the Grammys. They just kind of say, fuck it. And hey, yeah, what is that? Metal? Fucking here's an award for you. So obviously this is a dynamo track right here, but let's get into these lyrics. It's basically just these 3 verses on repeat. And you guys tell me if this song is not about jizz. Okay. Because I'm certain as a 43-year-old man, I was listening to this in my car. I was at a stoplight and I was almost embarrassed because I was like, this woman's just talking about jizz right now. So it says, sitting here eating my heart out, waiting for some lover to call. Dialed about 1,000 numbers lately, almost rang the phone off the wall. And then she gets into the chorus. Looking for some hot stuff, baby, this evening. And note there, she's not looking for a hot stuff. She's looking for some hot stuff. I need some hot stuff, baby, tonight. I want some hot stuff, baby, this evening. Gotta have some hot stuff. Gotta have some love tonight. Hot stuff. I need some hot stuff. I want some hot stuff. I need some hot stuff. That's all she says. That's all she says. She's looking for a lover who needs another. Don't want another night on my own. Want to share my love with a warm-blooded lover. Want to bring a wild man back home. I mean, this song not about cum?
She wants that load, that hot load.
Yeah.
By hot, she means I think 98.6 degrees. To be specific.
Straight from the hose, dude.
I can't think of anything. I mean, as a kid, I probably heard the song and they use it in commercials and it's been in movies and all kinds of shit.
Hot Pockets used it.
Oh God,
I don't ever want to eat a Hot Pocket again because of this.
It just opens.
Like, oh, what is that?
Oh,
Tripping out of that. I don't. Come on.
I hope it's
so
cheese.
Hot. Burn my tongue on that. But yeah, it's Donna
inside.
Summer Hot Stuff was released on my first birthday, and I don't know. There's a lot of innuendo there.
Wow.
Sure
All right,
is.
Drew Zakmin, what did you bring for the music round?
Oh, speaking of hot stuff, Yeah. So anyway, everyone's favorite actor put out an album on April 28th, 1998. I didn't remember seeing anything released on my actual birthday, so I went a day ahead. You probably know him, less from his music, more from his movies. One of the stars from I Now Pronounce You, Chuck and Larry, Just Go With It. And he was also a huge star in You Don't Mess With the Zohan. Came out with his third studio album. This album peaked at #1 on the US Billboard 200 and featured great hits like Don't Drink the Water, Stay, Wasting Time, and Crush. Of course, I'm talking about Before These Crowded Streets by Dave Matthews Band. He is a phenomenal actor. Now, here's the thing, right? In 1998, I was more so into metal, like things like Fear Factory, Tool, Slayer. I was probably into new metal by then, Korn. Probably was listening to Limp Bizkit. I was not a perfect teenager. I apologize. But with that being said, I was not necessarily into Dave Matthews Band, but I knew a lot of hot chicks that were. So even though I wasn't into Dave Matthews Band, I still was into Dave Matthews Band, which never actually paid off for me.
It's a lose-lose, man.
It really is. It really is. I remember I would get these albums as soon as they came out. And I would also
invite them over to your house.
Well, my friends would have parties. So whenever they would have the CDs on, I'd be like, oh, I know all these songs. So I'm a big Dave Matthews fan. They'd be like, yeah, whatever. You're a fucking nerd. So it did not work. I also had these giant glasses. So I could have listened to every Dave Matthews album ever in the history of man. I still would not have gotten laid by any of those girls. But anyway, just listen to the music you like, kids. That's the moral in this story. Don't listen to music just because somebody else might like. Anyway, April 28th, 1998, Dave Matthews Band released Before These Crowded Streets.
Did you ever think to offer them some weed?
No, I never smoked.
Well, you could have just offered it. But,
Yeah,
we can smoke this weed.
I have some weed.
Matthews out.
Hey, you girls want some hot stuff?
You should have pulled out the Incubus album, dude.
Well, I was also listening to that too, but the Incubus, that was Science was out then. That was a little heavier. So
great album,
a phenomenal album. But everybody loved Dave Matthews. You go to Dave Matthews concert, I mean, it was on for everybody else.
Not to sell your pick for you or anything, but that's actually a fantastic album. The version of Halloween on that album, top notch. One of my favorites, man.
Makes all those weird fucking noises.
All right, let's kick it down to Joe for the ruling on the music round.
Yeah, I'm not a Dave Matthews fan at all, dude. Sorry. No, it's not for fucking me at all. Never was. I remember hearing something about Dave Matthews where he has this fetish where he lays under a table and has people shit on top of a glass table over his face. Have you heard about this?
No, I've never
I didn't
heard
know anybody else had the same fetish as I did.
I've never heard of I've never heard of him having that, but isn't that called the glass bottom boat?
I have no idea, man.
How do you know that?
my buddy and I, we used to talk about all those things, like the Dirty Sanchez. There was the rusty trombone,
the punch and all that.
Yeah, the white dragon and the red dragon,
Cincinnati bow tie,
riding the bull. Yeah. And the glass bottom boat was one of them. And instead of an actual table, it might have just been saran wrap, which makes it 100 times worse.
So you suffocate yourself too?
No, you don't cover your face. You just put it over your face so it's clear.
He's giving us instructions now.
That is the definition of it. That is the definition of it.
Put on your Dave Matthews album. That's the first and foremost.
Maybe that's why. Maybe that's the hot stuff she was talking about.
Put on two-step.
On next week's show,
hot stuff glass bottom boat.
On next week's show, Drew Zakmin's going to demonstrate how to pour a custom resin table, so you have comfortable sitting for people want to shit on top of you.
The services we provide.
So unfortunately, no Dave Matthews.
Fair enough.
I'm just not a big fan. Hot stuff. Let me tell you something. So on my show and my co-host show, Movie Dumpster, we have a character y'all are familiar with Goldar from the Power Rangers, right?
Yeah.
Well, our character is called Cumdar, and he's made out of cum. But he still sounds like Golda, but he's made out of cum. And he's a fiend in the movie dumpster universe, the MDU, which is our, all our movies that we review kind of interconnect together under the umbrella, and everything is John Hurt's fault, by the way. Go back, listen to Frankenstein Unbound, and get the whole lore dump for the movie dumpster universe. But yeah, maybe he would like that song a lot. Dropping the hot loads everywhere tonight. Because she's got to have it tonight.
Dude, she called 1,000 dudes on the phone and couldn't. She's an attractive lady. Why would she have to call that many people?
I need
a lot of dudes.
The stuff.
It was like, dude, seriously, if Donna Summer called you, the first call would be like, yeah, I'm coming.
Yeah, of course.
Like, what?
Literally.
You
can have all that hot stuff straight up.
However much you want.
Transitioning into that that song actually has nothing to do with the actual hot stuff or semen or any bodily fluids whatsoever, but it reminds me of my mom because she loves like the old disco tracks.
Wow.
Right?
There's a segue.
That's the second thing that just popped in my head. So I remember singing that in the car with her and stuff. I never thought of it that way, and now you've ruined that memory for me, so thank you.
Now you know why your mom liked it so much.
Oh my God.
And now I can't eat a Hot Pocket again, to whoever brought that up. Thank you very much.
And that's why I'm here on this planet on the show from the hot stuff. And it was delivered that night. It sure was. Man, but I have to go with the purple one. Kiss is one of those songs so the guy described it as, his falsetto is just going fucking crazy. That is one of the best parts of that. When he's like, I fucking love that song so much. And then he starts getting like crazy at the end. He's like, sign me up, dude. Sign me up. I mean, what's not to like? He's one of the greatest musicians that has ever lived. And all I want is that kiss. I sure do.
He dialed up his inner James Brown for that song.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
It just makes you want to fucking,
Yeah, deliver some hot stuff. That's why I should have taken this round, because I think like they're connected in some way.
Here, you know what? Here's what you do. You go to the Dave Matthews concert, right? You give a girl.
They're all tied together.
And then you give the girl a kiss, and then immediately following, she gets a little hot stuff. Yeah, there you go.
This is synchronicity. How do you say? Somebody say it for me, because
Synchronicity.
Yeah, on the
Sting.
entire round.
Sting was right.
Sting.
Police
Great
are
album.
good.
By the way. Great album.
All right. Well, I pick up another point heading into our first 2-point round. I take control of the board. All right, gentlemen, let's go over to the movies round.
Ooh,
I've been waiting.
All right. My movie pick was released on February 7th, 1986, a couple of days after my birthday. There was no real releases on my birthday. So and this movie earned just over $20 million off a $10 million budget, and was originally going to star Mel Gibson and Harrison Ford. And way before she got her groove back, this film actually marks the debut of Angela Bassett. So let's go to the Sacramento Bee, February 8th, 1986, for an article where the headline reads, FX, a hint of Hitchcock, cops and robbers thriller, just like the old days. Director Robert Mandel's first two films ran into studio executive problems and have been shelved. But his third, titled FX, about a movie special effects whiz who gets dangerously involved with a gangster assassination, is a nifty thriller, fast-moving entertainment. Brian Brown plays the protagonist, Raleigh Tyler, whose visual effects for the movie Vermin from Venus got him banned and deported from his native Australia. There are some first-rate performances by Brown and Diane Venera as his lover, Clifty Young, and Mason Adams as the government agents, veteran Broadway actor Jerry Orbach as well, and particularly Brian Dennehy, doing his best acting in his best role ever. Although, oddly enough, guys, Dennehy doesn't appear in this movie till about 44 minutes in. So,
Yeah, he's more.
and then
into the
30
second
minutes
one.
into the, and then 30 minutes into the movie, we see a poster in the background for Rambo: First Blood Part 2. Now, Brian Dennehy, of course, played the hard-nosed cop Leo McCarthy in this movie, FX. Well, he also played the crooked cop Teasel in First Blood, solidifying my theory that McCarthy and Teasel are the same character. Because of everything that happened in First Blood, he had to leave the small town, relocate. He became a cop. It just fits with it. So the writer finishes the article with, we'll be looking from other movies from Mandel. We'll be looking for those other Mandel movies. He's a comer. Again,
he wanted that hot stuff, dude.
Yeah.
Every round.
He's a comer. I've never heard that. You know, we had a bad headline before. This might be one of the worst quotes ever. He's a comer.
I need that on a shirt.
So
He's
am
a
I.
comer. This is a guy about FX.
And speaking of coming, Robert Mandel's next film would be one of Mike Ranger's favorites of all time. That's 1987's Big Shots. He would not return for FX2. So John Steers, who was a special effects consultant on FX, actually claimed that he had been offered money from government agencies to simulate the various things that were depicted in the film. So FX actually might be based on some truth. Can't confirm nor deny that. So I give you FX, February 7th, 1986.
Wait, did you say that Brian Brown's character, Raleigh, whatever it was, he actually
Raleigh
got deported from his home country?
Yeah,
Of a
he got
movie?
deported from Australia because of the effects in his movie Vermin from Venus.
Wow,
Not the actor, the character.
Yeah, no, I know. I like that part of that movie completely like went over my head because I never caught that.
It's a quick passing line in like the beginning.
That's wild. I love that movie though. I like the second one too
Yeah, I always kind of like the second one better.
because of the clown.
It's got the clown. It's more upbeat and funny, whereas FX is a hard-nosed crime drama.
Yep.
And the ending is just spectacular. Spoilers, he super glues the gun to the guy's fucking hands and then shoves him out the doors to the cops. It's great. All right, let's toss it over to Mancrush. What do you have for the movies round?
All right, so let's go April 13th, 1979 again. I'm picking all of mine on my birthday. I'm not going to the other days. I'm going where I'm supposed to go. But thankfully, I was able to locate a sneak preview on my birthday for a movie that I actually like. This movie right here, it's probably my favorite of the series of 6 in this one. It did have a reboot in 2004, and I normally hate reboots, but I actually enjoyed this reboot. That being said, it doesn't hold a candle to the original, but it's good when most reboots are utter dog shit. But I turned the ripe age of 1 in 1979. So unfortunately, I didn't get to see this in theaters, but I'm sure the old Mahoning Drive-In, which I've been saying incorrectly for the entire time we've been recording these podcasts. It's not Mahoning, it's Mahoning. But if they haven't played this one, I will definitely go there when they do. If you're into nostalgia, and I'm sure that you probably are if you're listening to the show, watching an original 35 millimeter cut of a movie is the closest thing to having your own DeLorean to go back in time. And it honestly is. So if you ever have the opportunity to see one of your favorite movies on 35 millimeter, I highly recommend it. I just wanted to drop that in there because Joe was there as well. We got to meet Andre Gower on Friday. It was cold as shit and raining the whole time, but it was still a great time. Got to see Monster Squad up on the big screen, just like I did in 1987. It was worth it. Yeah, absolutely. But anyways, this movie, it brought in $55 million worldwide. So that's around $223 million in 2021. And this was all done on a $500,000 budget, which is insane, especially when you have arguably one of the best practical effects guys ever working on this film. Matter of fact, the budget was so low on this horror flick They couldn't even afford stuntmen. So that same special effects guy that I just mentioned, he attempted to do his own stunt where he jumps over a guardrail in the facility that they're in. I'm not going to give it away just yet. And he almost broke his neck in the process of doing that. He was supposed to jump off into some like empty boxes, completely missed it. And the director of this one, he didn't even have dailies to review the film. So they would send the film off to New York to process every single day and then wait for them to provide word if it was a good shoot or not. So it's shocking. It is shocking that this movie came out as legendary as it did with all these limitations and the budget limitations and everything else. And in spite of all that, this was the most profitable of the 6 in the series. And I believe that there's a 7th on the way. I think it's coming out this year. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong after I give this one away if you don't already know it. So if you're in the mood for movies about gray zombies that kind of look like dead Smurfs, looting the Monroeville Mall, potentially X-rated movies minus explicit sex, cameos by the Pagan Motorcycle Club, Fluorescent Blood, Volkswagen Scirocco's, Ken Foray, Tom Savini, and George Romero, then you should probably go and watch Dawn of the Dead, because that's sneak peeked on my birthday, April 13th, 1979. And you know what's actually interesting about this thing too? So every day when they shot in the mall, they can only shoot from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. And it was actually done during Christmas season, which blows my fucking mind. But they would have gone past 6 a.m. every day. However, the mall was playing elevator music that popped on at 6 a.m. and nobody knew how to shut it off. So they had to stop at 6 a.m. I mean, there's all kinds of stories that came out of the making of this about like extras going out to the bar that was like apparently across the street and would get drunk before they even got there. So the zombies walking around looking like zombies, they were just drunk ass motherfuckers that just came from the bar, which is pretty dope. And George Romero saying that he couldn't even direct these people. They were just, there was hundreds of them. He would just be like, just act like zombies. And they did. It's pretty awesome. But that's what my pick is, Dawn of the Dead.
Legendary. My all-time favorite horror movie.
Oh, really?
Absolutely.
So good.
Fantastic.
Do you guys know, is there a 7th one coming out this year?
I'm actually trying to pull that up now. I thought I have like a list of all the movies coming out like a nerd, and I thought I saw it on there, but
it's kind of
coming out to my basement since every fucking movie theater is closed.
Yeah, it's kind of sad the state of George Romero's films now, because he's constrained because of budget limitations. Like Island of the Dead, he got no budget for, and then the remake of Dawn of the Dead got 10 times more budget.
Oh yeah,
for a remake than he could get to do a new original film. Like when he wanted to do Land of the Dead and all those.
Actually, I like the remake. I hate most remakes, but that one I actually liked. I think it was the cast.
It's totally fine. I think that James Gunn had written that one too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's a good movie. I don't like it as a remake. They could have just changed a few things in the name, and it could have stood on its own.
But when you make it in a mall, I mean, it's like a foregone conclusion. This is Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah.
If they made it like in an office complex, like, all right, it'd be something else. It's in a factory, but in a mall, it's got to be Dawn of the Dead.
Flea market.
Flea market of the dead, yeah.
Swap meet of the dead. That's what I'm talking
All the zombies have like 3 teeth. I'm not afraid of you.
All right, Drew Zakmin, over to you.
All right. Now, what if I told you there was a movie that starred Patrick Swayze, Randy Travis, and Meatloaf? I feel like that's something you might be interested in, right? And you probably would. And rightfully, you'd probably lose your shit if you found out about that. Well, on May 1st, 1998, our good friends at Universal Pictures gave us that gift. 89 minutes of nonstop heart-pounding action starring these absolute legends, where a trucker who's just been released from jail for vehicular manslaughter for accidentally hitting and killing a motorist and his passenger on the side of the road during a trip in which he experienced a black dog hallucination brought on by exhaustion is manipulated into transporting illegal arms. Guys, it happens more often than you'd think. Now, this film pulled in a box office of $12,951,000 or so back in 1998, or Mancrush will convert it for you, or in 2021 dollars, it's just a little north of 37 billion. So they did pretty well. Now, I am talking, of course, about Black Dog, the Patrick Swayze classic flick. And I mean, anytime you have a movie involving a truck driver, I mean, you need to watch it, right? I mean, over the top, you have to watch that.
Over the top, yeah.
Yeah, truck driver Lincoln Hawk. I mean, you have to watch it. It's so good. Kenny Loggins, yeah, you got to watch it. And speaking of great soundtracks, this one also had a great soundtrack. You had some great country acts on there, like Leanne Womack, Red Atkins, Randy Travis, obviously. Thankfully, there was no Jason Aldean or Brantley Gilbert, because this was before their time, but I still wanted to mention them because they suck and they are terrible. So nobody, Jason Aldean, Brantley Gilbert, guys, nobody ever listens to their music. They are shit. Anyway, the soundtrack peaked at number 30 on the top country albums chart. It's a pretty decent flick. I saw it a long time ago. I remember it being halfway decent. I probably should give it a rewatch. But Black Dog, folks, May 1st,
Didn't they get a TV show
1998.
as well? Did they have a TV? I could have sworn that a TV show.
I don't remember.
Oh, like when he was sick, like towards the end, he was on like some
Like
TV
10,
show.
15 years ago. I don't think it was Black Dog.
I thought it was that. Maybe I'm wrong. It's the hot stuff. It gets to me.
Messes
It's
with
a
your
little
brain,
too hot.
man. Yeah.
You're overheating from it's a little too hot.
Well, let's see what our judge Joe La Scola has to say on his verdict for the movies round.
Okay, so I've never seen Black Dog. The only movies from the 90s that I remember from Patrick that I've seen a lot of are like Next of Kin. Or did Next of Kin come out in the
That was in
80s?
the 80s.
That was the
that was
80s.
the
All right,
late
so
80s.
So Tu Wong Fu, thanks
Point
for everything,
Break.
Julie Newmar. Point Break. I never saw Black Dog, but it sounds cool. So I definitely want to check it out. But
It's got Meatloaf.
it's got Meatloaf in it. And,
Yeah,
you
The
know.
meal or the singer?
Both.
Oh, okay.
I love how Meatloaf is in like a bunch of like B stuff. Like he's in a Tales from the Crypt episode. He's in like a Monsters episode. The old 80s TV series Monster
Fight
or
Club.
90s Fight.
Well, yeah, I mean, it started for him with Rocky Horror. I
Rocky
mean, you
Horror,
can't get
yeah.
any more B than that.
Oh yeah, man.
Okay, I'll
So,
correct myself. It was the show was called The Beast that I was talking
Beast.
about.
Oh, okay.
It's
Never
close to
saw
a
that.
Black Dog.
But yeah. I mean, I can't even really weigh in on it, but it sounds cool. So FX, I haven't seen that movie in forever. But I always love the premise of it, the guy going in with doing special effects makeup to be different people to pull off heists and crimes and shit like that, and that's fucking rad.
Yeah, that's not the plot of it at all.
No. Don't they like hire him for some shit to do
They
makeup?
hire him to fake an assassination of a
Fake an
mob
assassination.
boss.
I
And
thought
of course, because
the
this
second
is
one?
like modern film noir, there's like 400 billion plot twists.
Yeah. Is that the second one? Is that the plot of the second one?
Which is
I
the
don't
one
know.
where there's like a shower scene. Is that the first one where he's got or is it the second one?
That's the second one.
Okay, all right.
I don't fucking know, dude. I haven't seen it in forever, so fuck me. But but I like the idea. I should revisit that soon for sure. I seem to remember some movie where, I mean, and not Mission Impossible or anything like that, but like using makeup effects to do some kind of, I don't know what. But there you go.
That was summer school, man.
Yeah. But yeah, Dawn of the Dead, the classic Romero film. Yeah, I mean, you got Savini in there, you got Ken Foree, like you were saying. It's a great fucking flick. It's a classic zombie flick. And it's definitely in the wheelhouse that I've seen a ton of times. And I'm gonna have to go with that one for sure. And I'm a little biased. Only, I obviously, I don't remember fucking effects, and I never saw Black Dog, but I was probably gonna pick the horror movie anyway. You know what I mean? But
nobody can blame you with that one. That's just a monster,
Yeah.
man.
I mean, if you didn't, the guys from the Pagan Motorcycle Club probably would have come to your door, because that mall is not far from where you live. So I'm sure they're still representing in that area somewhere.
oh yeah,
But-
yeah, probably.
But Joe, don't worry, man. You'd be all right. You could sneak away while they stop to take their blood pressure.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. I've actually been to the Monroeville Mall. Have you guys been there?
No,
I've never been there.
No.
always wanted to.
I was doing because I do like cinematography and shit like that. I do video work, and we had like passed through and we stopped, and it was neat, man. It was really neat to just like walk around and just see where they shot everything. And there was a store there that had like a bunch of like old props and memorabilia and stuff, and like people from the film had come back and like put their handprints on the wall and like signed it and stuff. So it
Cool.
was really
That's
neat.
cool.
Yeah.
Is that place still open as a mall, or is it just it's big empty building now?
I'm not sure. I think who was just in there that I just saw. I just saw somebody from another show. Justin from he's gonna shoot me, dude. He's gonna kill me.
You couldn't even plug my shit.
Oh no. Yeah, I'm totally blanking right now. Sorry.
cool, I didn't even know it was still open. I didn't know you can just go there and check it
didn't-
out.
I
That
didn't
is
know.
pretty awesome.
I didn't know it was open either. I thought most of the malls that are around here are fucking shut down, dude.
Yeah.
You know, or like there's like one store open and like the middle of the mall's closed off and you just go in the one area. Epic Film guys.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, we know them. Justin Zesquil.
I don't know how to say his last name. Esquivel. That's one of those fucking words that we were talking about where if I, you know, I never heard it said out loud.
I haven't actually. Nick did this show. It wasn't even this show. Nick did this show when we were Poop Culture.
Yeah.
Okay.
like fucking 5 or 6 years ago.
Yep.
Right after the Booby Brothers quit. We used to. It's a long story. We had these guys, Derek and Randy Booby were my co-hosts, and they quit and started their own shit. And I needed somebody to fill in, and Nick filled in for that first episode. And we had Greg Lamberson was on, and we were talking about like Slime City Massacre and all this other shit. And
Nice.
I remember Nick was like, I don't even know who this guy is. Like, I was like, don't worry about it. I'll take care. I'll run the whole interview. And then at the end, I remember Greg Lamberson just being like, Nick, well, I'm thankful that you were here. Like, 'cause he didn't say anything.
All right,
Oh,
man,
man.
Crush. You picked up 2 points and you jump out to the lead heading into the final round. And of course, that's the Hot Products round.
All right. Since it was my birthday and I won the round, we're going to the last round. I'm going to take the opportunity to defer. And I'm going to give this one to you, Drew. You haven't been here in a while. I'm going to let you double down in the last round.
I appreciate it, although we'll get there. Now,
How did we get to hot products in round 5 is what I want to know. That never happens.
yeah,
Somebody's got a
it's
somebody's got a banger here. No, wait, what is it? Somebody's got a comer.
Bangor.
Somebody's got a comer.
That's it. You're coming in Bangor then for sure.
Oh boy. All right. So I remember this hot product actually came out on April 28th, so the day before my birthday. But I remember being excited about it because I didn't actually get a chance to see it in the movie theater. So this is actually a VHS release. But I remember when it came out, I was like, oh, I definitely want to get this movie and see it like now, like as soon as it came out. And I went with this pick because, I think I actually did get it maybe like a week or so after it came out. So like a week or so after my birthday, basically. And the movie came out in November of 1997 in the movie theater. I didn't get a chance to see it there. I wanted to, but I just never got around to it. So like I said, as soon as it came out on VHS, wanted to see it. And the reason why it had, Bruce Willis, it had Richard Gere in there. So, 2 top-notch actors in there, no gerbil. But
I was waiting for that.
yeah, but the film involves basically it's about the hunt for a paid assassin, and it's a loose remake of the 1973 British-French film, The Day of the which was actually based on the 1971 novel of the same name. Now, The movie I'm talking about is The Jackal. And box office wise, it was okay. It grossed 159 million on the budget of 60 million. So not too shabby, not fantastic, but again, it could have been worse. And again, I remember being like stoked for this movie right around my birthday and wanting to watch it. And when I did, it kind of sucked so much that Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times called it and I'm quoting here, glum, curiously flat thriller. And he also included the film in his worst of 1997, comparing it to the 1973 film and calling it a retread, cruder, and dumbed down. Now, I decided to go with this pick because I remember wanting, on my birthday, I was like pretty excited to go get this on VHS because it just came out. So that's why I went with this pick. It pretty much sucked, but I'm going with this because it, had some significance to my actual 18th birthday. So that's what I'm going with. The Jackal, starring Bruce Willis and Richard Gere.
And Jack Black got his arms blown off.
Yeah, that's the only memorable part of that entire film, man.
Not great. So that's what I have.
All right, guys. So my hot product I found in the pages of the Los Angeles Times, February 5th, 1986, right in the top right-hand corner of page 3. It's a nice little advertisement that even at the ripe age of 8 years old, if I would have seen this, I would have been excited to sign up for this service. Absolutely. Because I was a big fan of this television show. And you'll see why in just a moment. Caught my eye because of the big, bright, unmistakably smiling face of that's featured in this advertisement, where the copy reads TV commercial and voiceover training. If you're talented and you want the chance to work in the exciting field of acting and TV commercials, sports or narration, cartoons or newscasting, or spots for radio, Del Mar Media Arts can help you get there. Call for a free evaluation or interview, Del Mar Media Arts. Now, on the left-hand side of that, smiling right back at you with that friendly, dimpled grin is none other than Mr. Gordon Jump from WKRP. Has a big picture of him, and it says, Gordon Jump, WKRP. All students work with Mr. Jump. Now, the school is actually still open, and it is called Multimedia Arts. It's the School for Television and Commercial Acting and Voiceovers. So the school was actually founded in San Diego over 30 years ago. And on the Multimedia Arts website, their description now reads, it's the school and place where you can develop your talents and learn the business aspects of professional recording, demo tapes, auditioning, marketing, and more. So Gordon Jump actually has a bio on the page as well, talking about he was associated with the school since its inception. He helped create the content of the courses, and before his passing, he was a full-time instructor. He was an advocate for the school teachers, putting together the curriculum. And of course, Gordon Jump was best known for WKRP in Cincinnati, and as the Maytag TV man on TV, we miss him dearly, it reads. And I agree with their sentiments. So this is what I would have wanted, man. The chance to work with Mr. Gordon Jump from WKRP. Are you telling me I can be just like him and run a radio station? Be fantastic. Look at Venus Flytrap to work for me, man.
When you said Gordon, the way you were like slow, I pictured the Gordon's fisherman. And then all I pictured was dude in yellow slickers the whole time.
That would have been awesome. I'd love to see Gordon Jump.
I know that's Gorton, but whatever.
Right.
It's
whatever. All right, man crush. Let's kick it over to you. What do you have for the hot products round? What are you holding out on, man?
Well, we probably should have prefaced this whole round with this. If this is your first birthday battle on Dueling Decades, things are slightly different than they are with a regular episode. Instead of the product launching on a particular date like we normally do, instead, we have to pick a product that was from an ad that was run on our birthdays. So that's where we're coming from with these. But my particular product, this hot product, was released in 1977, and it was something that I actually owned in the early 80s before we had the Atari 2600. So for me, this is a very cool find because I completely forgot about this game. When I moved out of my parents' house, this is like over 20 years ago, I remember still having this game suction cup to the top of my Atari 2600 dome case. Remember those cases that it had like this see-through plastic top?
Yeah.
This game that I'm talking about had suction
yeah.
cups on the bottom, and mine was suction cup right to the top. And I think I mentioned this on the show before, but my mom had donated all of my shit to Goodwill when I moved out. So mostly the toys and the game systems, all that was given away, but yet they kept thousands of fucking baseball cards that now reside in my basement, like 20 feet away from where I'm sitting right now. And they're worth like $13. So thank you to my mom and dad. But this hot product, this was the Coleco Telstar Combat video game system. It was coming in at the sale price of $49.87, and Drew will like this because that's about $200.
Convert it. There it
in
is.
2021. The original price was $69.87. And then it kind of makes you think, like, what kind of demented soul would end their prices with 87 cents? That's like turning your television up to like volume number 23 or like some other oddball number. If it ain't fucking evens or it's not 99, like, just don't do it. But they did it in this one. But anyway, in the late 70s, like, obviously Pong was king, and Coleco was trying to create a better video game experience. So they released a Telstar, which they had like a dozen different iterations of this, and each iteration of the Telstar had several games on it. And the Combat series had 4 tank games of its own. So you had Combat, which is basically like it's almost exactly the same as Atari's Combat. Then you had Night Battle, Robot Battle, and Camouflage Combat or something. I'm going to give you a spoiler. They're basically all the same shit, just different lighting. Same thing. It's 1979. What do you want? But the key selling feature of the Telstar was the design. And you can find these things on eBay now. They're like hundreds of dollars, and they look exactly like they did in 1979. These fuckers were built to last. But what they did with this particular model in the Combat, it was a green triangle with it had like camouflage stickers on it. And then there's 4 joysticks. So it's a 2-player game. So each person had 2 joysticks. They plug it in their television, and each person, you had forward and back and left and right. And you go around shooting each other. And, whenever somebody hit you, you can just punch the motherfucker right next to you because they're literally 6 inches away from you. I mean, obviously, this thing, it was obviously beat out by the competition, namely the Atari, and almost basically put Coleco out of business because they had all these different iterations of I think there was 14 different Telstars. And by the late 70s, Atari and everybody else, I forgot the name of the other 2 that were out at the time, but they kind of killed them. So they had all these sitting on the shelves, and that's why this fucker was $49.87. But it wasn't all bad. This was the first peripheral based system for gaming. So something that Nintendo would bring back, like in the mid 80s, they bring it back with the Zapper and the Power Glove and the Rob and all that shit. So it wasn't all awful. And just talking about this right now, it made me realize when we did the last birthday bash or birthday battle rather with Robert Tepper, our boy, back in February, I had the Adam Coleco.
Yeah.
Or the Coleco Atom, whatever you want to call it, on the last birthday episode. And this was something I wanted to bring up on the last episode, and I never did. But do you guys know much about Coleco? Because it's one bizarre fucking company. And I think you guys might have mentioned a toy that was made by Coleco. I know Joe talked about Alf. Mm-hmm. So they began in the 30s, and they made like leather products for shoes. Not even shoes, they're just leather products for shoes, like during World War II and all that shit. Then, like in the 50s, they made leather moccasins. And then in the 60s, they made cheap, like toy above ground pools. And then they started to branch off into toys in the late 60s. And then in the early 70s, they made fucking snowmobiles. Like,
what kind of business model is that?
Yeah. And then of course, they came out with the Telstar like mid to late 70s. And then somehow they they made handhelds after that. Then somehow they stumbled into the fucking Cabbage Patch Kids in the early 80s and made like all this fucking buku bucks. Yeah. Then they made the Atom computer, and then they made the Alf doll, and then they went fucking bankrupt, and then Hasbro bought them up and tore the shit apart. Mm-hmm. But it's a fucking wild story. If you go back and look at Coleco, like it's like, wow, like snowmobiles, like huh? But
Insane, man.
yeah, but this is the Telstar Combat. This is what I would have wanted. Probably at 1 year old, I probably would have been gnawing on it instead of playing it. But it's fucking cool. I wish I still had it because I probably would have it in the studio somewhere. But yeah, Telstar Combat made by Coleco, who makes snowmobiles and above ground swimming pools and moccasins.
Awesome. All right, well, let's throw it down to Joe La Scola for the final ruling on this game.
Okay, so my dad actually used to own a video store with his brothers called Video Time in Bricktown. I think it was like in Bricktown, New Jersey, excuse me. It was like one of the first rental stores specifically for video games at the time, like the early 90s. And I never had any of the Atari stuff. I've only had like Genesis and Nintendo and all that shit. So I can see how awesome this thing is. Like
You got to see the picture of it. Well, while you're talking, I'll see if I can dig one up.
It sounds fucking cool. And you mentioned like ROB and all that stuff, and the periphery, the additions to the console games that kind of interacted with you as you were playing. I thought that was so cool. I remember having like giant pad 2 playing fucking Burger Time on it, on the ground, on the floor. But
can you see that thing?
Holy shit, dude, it's huge.
Yeah.
It's like a
Look
big console.
Tell me you couldn't knock the motherfucker out sitting next to you. Just like uppercut him, be like, I won.
That's really awesome, man. Yeah, I've never played that before, but that looks awesome.
A little bit more green there.
There we
It
go.
reminds me of those Steel Battalion controller. You ever see that
Yeah.
thing?
Yeah.
Dude, and this thing was a beast too. It had good weight to it. I saw a video on YouTube and the dude pulled it out of the box and plugged it in and shit still worked.
That is awesome.
Wow.
Well, if it fell off the back of your snowmobile, it would still work.
Yeah.
They can make a swimming pool.
Well, you see it connects to the snowmobile so you can fucking drive it.
Now you're pretty sweet.
That was all the leftover parts, probably.
What are we gonna do with all these snowmobiles? Make this fucking video game.
Now what about these moccasins?
Yeah. Hey, I got it. We're gonna play it. You have to be in our pool. You got to buy the pool, right? That's part of the package. And you got waterproof moccasins on.
Waterproof moccasins.
Yeah, you're good.
Makes sense.
Genius.
Yeah. So and also, Mark, that's such a fucking cool idea. I always loved making voices as a kid and like watching cartoons and like replicating them and just impersonating people and stuff and now I fucking do a podcast. So that's I totally get the allure of that, and that's such a neat thing. So that's really cool too. And then Drew, like, I know that's a big feeling too, that having that VHS come out and you have to wait, right? Because it was still at that time where you had to wait for I was so fucking psyched when that movie come out, and I remember like getting the VHS and the soundtrack and shit, and it was just a really awesome time in the anticipation of that. So I feel that too. So it's a tough one because I was saying like all these things are part of kind of who I am, like the voice acting kind of thing and the video games and the movies and the VHS and stuff, obviously. But man, this is a tough one. I think I'm going to go with the voice acting.
Oh,
And the reason I'm going to go with the voice acting is because that is something that I seriously considered as a career for a little while. And it's still kind of residual. Like I do a bunch of voices on the show and shit, like as a goof, but it's something that I always wanted to like act and shit like that. So yeah.
nice.
You never thought about driving a tank?
I've done it. You know what I mean? Like I drove the snowmobile with the fucking the controller. I watched the movie on the tape, but like that's something I always wanted to do and never really pursued. So I think if I had a chance to do it again, if I saw that ad, I'd go I'd go do that. So
Damn, that was a deep cut, man. That was a deep cut.
yeah. It wasn't really that funny because I was just enamored with everything you guys were talking about, and it just made me feel all warm and fuzzy inside. So
No, it's like usually we that's why I kind of like the ads when we do the birthday episodes, because you have more flexibility to pick things that you come across. And that's a deep cut. That as soon as you said it, I was like, oh fuck. Like he just he dug a win right there. Like I felt it. I was like fuck, the Telstar is not gonna. I was like, let me just bullshit about Coleco and see what happens.
it was interesting as fuck, though. I gotta tell you.
Yeah, sometimes you have to
a Coleco
bullshit.
pool to go hang out in.
Yeah, honestly, it was the absolute first ad I found when researching. And as soon as I saw it, I saw Gordon Jump's face. I'm like, I'm done. That's it. Sign me up,
cool,
man. I grew up watching WKRP, and I actually went to college for radio broadcasting. So seeing Gordon Jump at a young age and being like, you could be just like me, be a fuck off and still run your own radio station. It'd be great. So yeah, just
and make money doing it.
Yeah. Well, Joe, thanks a lot for being our judge on this episode. Why don't you tell all of our listeners a little bit about your show, Movie Dumpster Podcast?
Yeah, totally. Thanks for having me. Me and my two other co-hosts, Sean and Connor, we talk about the good, the bad, and the god awful, man. Everything from horror to sci-fi to action to drama, all that bullshit in between. Bad kids movies that you haven't seen in years. All kinds of good stuff. And we do deep dives into a lot of the films that we review, with some some fun behind the scenes stuff, but it's mostly a comedy show because it'd be pretty fucking boring if we sat there and were like, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened. So we try to spice it up a little bit, and we have our whole MDU universe where all the movies connect. And again, there's characters like Cumdar, and Daniel Baldwin is himself. John Hurt is himself playing Joe Buchanan from Frankenstein Unbound, who's ripped a hole in the space-time continuum with the Buke cannon. It's a whole fucking thing. You need to go listen to the show to understand, but you don't have to know that stuff exclusively to listen. If you just tune in if you want to listen to us talk about some movies in a comedic aspect. But yeah, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at Movie Dumpster or MovieDumpsterPodcast.com. And you can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, anywhere you get your podcasts. And we got a Patreon, we got a shop. So yeah, definitely go check it out and see if you dig it for sure.
And that's a dope shirt. I'm gonna pick one of those up. Can throw that out there. That's pretty fucking awesome. I like it.
Thanks,
I would
man.
wear that around. And dude, have you guys ever had Daniel Baldwin on the show?
No, I feel like I would love to reach out to him and just see what he says. And he would have no fucking clue because he would never listen to the show, right? He would just be like, yeah, all right, I'll do this stupid thing.
Dude, he's
man,
awesome.
That's like a dream.
He was on our old show. This is
He
so
was.
old.
You did.
like 5 years ago. And he's fucking awesome.
Shit, dude.
At the end of the show,
Is
he's like, he came up with this game show that we were talking about where we send prisoners to an island where they kill each other. It's just people from death row. And he's like, oh, dude, this is a great idea. We'll have Howie Mandel will be the host. And he's getting all into it. Then at the end of the show, like we get off the air and he's like, dude, here's my cell phone number. Text me and we'll throw some ideas back and forth.
Whoa.
So like months go by. And Mark, I think you were on the show at this point. I was like, should we try to get Daniel Baldwin back on I have his cell phone number. So I text him. I'm like, hey, it's Mancrush from Poop Culture. You want to come back on the show? We'll pick up where we left off. And he's like, who is this?
Oh God.
Who dis?
So
Like,
all the
right.
allegations that we've made in the MDU are correct. He's just like a crazy drunk guy. From yesterday's talk.
He's a great storyteller, like amazing.
Oh, I believe it, dude.
Yeah.
He tells a story about John Carpenter on that episode. Actually,
we did
we were-
vampires.
Oh yeah, yeah. So we were talking about vampires. We actually just re-released that
Yeah.
when Mark was moving his house. We released that
Yes.
episode just this past fall. So it's there. It's in our lexicon if you want to go and listen to it. But
Yeah, totally.
he tells this story about John Carpenter and them meeting with executives and them telling, like, John Carpenter's like telling them this story, and the guy was like, yeah, that's not scary. And then John Carpenter goes in this whole thing. And I'm not going to give it away. Like, go to that episode. Just like,
I'll definitely
just find
check it
that
out.
one portion. It's fucking amazing. It's just like, wow,
Oh,
like,
yeah, it's a
that's what
great
happened.
Story. It's fantastic. And Drew
Oh,
Zakmin,
I
man,
gotta listen to that.
you just missed your Songs Gone Wrong partner, Dave Schultz. He was here a couple
Yep.
episodes back.
That's right.
What do you guys got going on the show?
Yeah, so we have I'm trying to think. I think we have Popular probably will be up by time this
Not a
episode
Surf?
airs by Not a Surf. Yep.
Yeah.
And then we have some Soundgarden. We have one by Metallica. I would do a little history lesson in World War I on that one. I'm actually
Sick.
stoked about that one. And then we have Gangsta's Paradise by Coolio. Everybody needs to talk about Coolio. So that's what we have coming up on our show.
Did you know that Dave is into wrestling now?
Oh God,
And if you don't know, listen to the last
I don't-
episode.
I don't
and
want to
you'll-
know.
You'll know
The
why.
controversy abounds.
Did you know
Controversy.
Coolio did a movie with Daniel Baldwin called In Pursuit
Holy shit!
that we did on our show.
Full circle. Here
He
we go.
also did another. Yeah, it's all connected, dude.
So amazing
it's
when that
insane. He
happens.
plays like a Spanish guy who doesn't want to be Spanish.
I believe that.
It's fucking weird.
Sounds
You
it.
got to check it out, dude. The dude from Quantum Leap is his dad, not what's his name,
Scott Bakula.
Bakula, not Scott Bakula.
Oh,
the
Dean
other guy.
Stockwell.
Dean Stockwell.
Dean
that's it.
Stockwell is his dad. Yeah, it's fucking. it's a
Dean
movie
Stockwell
for
is
sure.
Coolio's dad.
No, he's Daniel Baldwin's dad.
Oh. I was like, wait, Dean Stockwell is Coolio's dad, and he's playing an Hispanic guy. Like, I gotta see this. This
Makes
sounds
sense.
amazing.
Daniel Baldwin fights a fucking puma in the back of a truck. You gotta see it, dude. It's insane.
That's
great.
like, I need a paycheck. Just put me in whatever. Dude, you're fighting a puma.
Dean
He's-
Stockwell was Baldwin's dad. Ziggy was Coolio's dad.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Oh,
I'll
man.
see that. Is that one on like Prime or something?
I don't know. It might be one of those things that's on Tubi or Prime. Again, that was our second season, so that was a couple years ago. I'm not sure exactly where it is right now.
Because it doesn't sound like anything
But
I want
definitely
to
check it out.
purchase, but
No.
it's available for free.
Oh, it's a hoot. You gotta watch it. It's called In Pursuit.
yes.
Check it out.
But
I'm
yeah.
already gonna get
Yeah,
shit
man.
from my wife when she sees that I paid $1.99 for a Dukes of Hazzard episode.
All
Gotta
right,
see the
Duelers.
skinny dipping.
Yeah.
What is this,
Skinny dipping
Deputy
into the
Dukes? Is
shotgun.
this porn?
Skinny dipping and double crossing.
Well, on that note, Duelers, we're going to have to end this episode right here. But don't worry, you can always go over to the brand new duelingdecades.com where you can find all of the information. It is now your one-stop shop for the show. And you can find all the links for our Patreon, our website, our Facebook, our Twitter, all of the socials right in the show notes right below this episode. So until next time, Duelers, we're going to bid you a peace, love, light, and a joy. Have a grateful week, everyone.